Worshippers or workers? Luke 10:41-42. And Jesus answered and said unto her, Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things, but one thing is needful, and Mary hath chosen that good part, which shall not be taken away from her. These two personalities represent the two categories of people who constitute the Church of God. Martha represents workers who are trying to please their Lord with service. But Mary here represents the worshipper who sits at the feet of the Lord to receive instructions for living. She learned of his way to follow his path. It's only the worshipper who has a connection with the God of Israel and knows the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his suffering. God called Abraham his friend so that he couldn't hide anything from him because of their intimacy. Which category do you belong to among these two? Jesus is looking for worshipers before workers. It's not necessarily that you jump out to answer the call and go on in doing service for the Lord without learning at his feet. These two people are those whom Jesus Christ cared for most in the Bible, Mary and Martha. They were the sisters of Lazarus, whom Christ raised from the dead. These are the two categories of groups of people in the Church of God. The type of Martha who are careful in serving the table, who see to the welfare of the saints, but are not eager to learn at the Lord's feet. They take care of pastors' needs and supplies to the satisfaction of their leaders. They are cumbersome about much serving, but neglect what is most important in their walk with God. Different aspects of the gospel with different orientations. If you don't sit to learn, how will you know his mind and communicate it to others? Jesus told the disciples to tarry in Jerusalem till the power released from above, which can only be gotten at the feet of the Lord. They waited in the upper room, meditating day and night, learning at his feet, till the light of God shone, and the tongues of fire descended on each and every one of them, and started speaking in unknown tongues. Some people have heard the call of God. They know that he has a plan for their life, but they can't wait at his feet to learn more about him and his kingdom. As they rushed out of his presence, that is how they will rush to become a nuisance to his kingdom. God requires worshipers before workers. We are created for worship. It's our first assignment in the land of the living. He who does not worship is not worthy to serve. But the most strange part of human nature is that they love to serve rather than worship. They use service to bribe God, while their heart are not in line with his word. God is seeking those who will worship him in truth and in spirit. That is why those who come to him for services without worship shall be chased from his presence, for he knows them not, for they did all their service without the knowledge of God. There are different motives for people rushing to work in God's service without first being a worshiper. Some are there to reinforce a satanic stronghold, while some are there for their own gain, and some are being sponsored by their belly, waiting to harvest where they didn't sow. It's only the worshiper that God is looking for. If you are a worker and not a worshiper, you are just a servant who will soon go back to his Father's house. He shows his way to those who are ready to worship him. There are many workers in the church who have become a disgrace to the pulpit. Had they become worshipers before workers, they would have known the difference between holy and unholy. God demands worship from man. That is the purpose of our Genesis and our regenesis, which becomes regeneration. The purpose of being born and being born again into the family of God. He created humanity for worship before Adam lost his purpose and disposed of his harp to walk toward his grave in the end. He wired the soul of man to seek that which he created it to occupy. Without the presence of God in man's souls, nothing occupied it that would satiate. If God dwell in your heart, You'll desire nothing more than His presence, and you'll will to do according to His good pleasure. You will surrender everything for His purpose. This is the way of the regenerated man, who has been redeemed from the fall and will to do according to his Lord's command, without considering others' opinions. Some asked him what they should do to work for God, but his answer still remains the same: believe in the one God sent. This is the beginning of our worship in His kingdom and the beginning of our walk with Him. Without faith, no one shall please God. It's only worshipers who will dwell in the house forever. Prayer. Father, recreate my heart to worship You and let me dwell in Your house forever. In Jesus' name, Amen.